Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The head of the medical charity Médecins Sans Frontières, or Doctors Without Borders, says that Gaza faces a catastrophe extending far beyond a humanitarian crisis. Israeli forces battled Hamas militants in the Gaza Strip's biggest cities in a new phase of the war that is now entering its third month, with wide areas of the narrow territory flattened by Israeli bombardment and 85% of the 2.3 million population left homeless. That's according to UN figures.
My people on the ground keep updating me on the situation, and I can tell you that it has gone far beyond the humanitarian crisis. It is a humanitarian catastrophe. It is a chaotic situation, and I'm extremely worried that very soon people will be in a mode of just trying to survive, which will come with very, very severe consequences.
Meanwhile, 2 months after the Hamas attack, Kibbutz Be'eri members have dared to hope to return home. It once had a population of 1,200 people, the largest of the 12 villages that make up the Eshkol Regional Council that runs along the border with Gaza. Hamas militants stormed Be'eri and left behind a devastation of unimaginable scale. They murdered more than 120 of its residents, including children, and kidnapped others.
What we are doing in the Gaza Strip right now is hurt them enough so they'll understand they made a terrible mistake by hurting us. And I pray that it's going to happen.
The US basketball star LeBron James has criticized the country's gun laws after the latest mass shooting. 3 people were killed in a shooting at the Las Vegas campus of the University of Nevada. The gunman, described as a white former college professor in his 60s, was killed in a shootout with police. One other victim is in a stable condition at a local hospital. The campus, about 2 miles from the world-famous Las Vegas Strip, will remain closed on Thursday and Friday.
The ability to get a gun, the ability to to do these things over and over and over, and there's been no change is literally ridiculous. It makes no sense that we continue to lose innocent lives, and on campuses, on schools, at shopping markets, and movie theaters, and all type of stuff. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and the fact that we haven't changed anything, it's actually been a lot easier to actually be able to own a firearm. It's stupid.
US President Joe Biden has pleaded with Republicans for a fresh infusion of military aid for Ukraine, warning that a victory for Russia over Ukraine would leave Moscow in position to attack NATO allies. Biden spoke as the United States planned to announce $175 million in additional Ukraine aid from its dwindling supply of money for Kyiv.
Congress needs to pass supplemental funding for Ukraine before they break for the holiday resources. As simple as that. Frankly, I think it's stunning that we've gotten to this point in the first place. While Republicans in Congress are willing to give Putin the greatest gift he could hope for and abandon our global leadership, not just in Ukraine, but beyond that.
A state of emergency has been declared in Seychelles after a massive explosion at an industrial area on the main island, as well as flooding. A security camera video captured the moment of the explosion, damaging a storefront. The blast ripped through the zone, flattening commercial buildings and wrecking nearby housing, leaving a trail of devastation along Mahe Island's east coast. Seychelles President Wavel Ramkalawan has ordered everyone except essential workers to stay home. A number of people have been injured. And Ivorian farmers who saw their cotton crops decimated by an invasive species last year have fought back with new chemicals. The Indian cotton jacid appeared across much of West and Central Africa's cotton belt. The tiny grasshopper-like pests injects a toxin into the plant that led to a near 25% production slump in the 2022-23 season year-on-year, with some countries losing over half of their forecast harvest. This season, the use of rapidly trialled and approved new insecticides have kept jacid at bay and restored the crop yield to normal levels. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.